All right, let's break down the market data right here for Snohomish County. This is the data as of the end of July. So it's the middle of August, and I'm going to share with you all of the data insights that you need to know for exactly what's happening that's hyper local right here in Snohomish County. Not the national headlines, but what is happening in your backyard. My name is Mike Novak. I'm a real estate agent right here in Snohomish County, part of the Novak Real Estate Team. My wife and I, we help people buy and sell real estate all over the county. And if you're thinking about buying or selling, definitely reach out to us. Love to have a conversation with you about that and see if it could be a good fit and good resource to help you with your home buy or home selling goals. But let's jump right into the data. There is so much happening in the market right now. It is such a transitionary market at the moment. I want to explain that to you. So as always, we're going to start with the new listings. The new listings are up about 7%. You can see how much there was in 2024, 899 new listings. In 2025, 968. So more people are listing their houses, which is good to see. You know, the increase in interest rates had a lot of sellers pausing the last few years, not wanting to give up that low interest rate to go buy something else and, you know, almost double it what they currently had, and sometimes even more than that, just to make financial sense, you know. So but we're seeing more sellers that need to move, whether if it's relocation, family dynamics changing, whatever it could be, job changes, whatever. More people are selling their houses. Okay, so just got to be aware of that. Pending sales also up about 7%. So that's kind of telling us what's coming as far as closed sales. Closed sales were way down last month from the previous year, down 15%. And we definitely felt this, you know, in the real estate market. It felt like there was a big pause going on the last couple of months. And you got to remember, closed sales for July are contracts that happened in May and June, because, you know, it's typically like a 30 to 45 day close on escrow once a contract is accepted. So it just shows you that the last 3 months, last 2.5 months, whatever, it's been pretty lethargic. You know, like, we're still definitely helping lots of buyers and sellers, but the overall market pace, it's not red hot. It's not crazy as far as movement goes, and it's down 15% from the same time last year. So that is big news, and that could definitely set the stage for softer prices in the future. Days on market is up about 39% from the same time last year. And if you look at last month's market report video, I shared that the days on market was 19. So it's gone up 6 days from one month to the next, and it's gone up 39% from the same time last year. So it's taking longer to sell homes. And this is very pocketed, meaning that certain submarkets and certain price ranges are selling very fast. Think like Everett, $550,000. And then other areas that are maybe further out or that are higher price ranges, like million plus, million and a half plus, those are taking longer to sell right now just because of the area they're in and things like that, you know. So how long it takes to sell a home and how long it's on the market is very, very market dependent, like intermarket dependent, not just Snohomish County, but what is the actual city and the neighborhood. Like, you got to know those things if you're buying or selling in those sub markets, because this number ranges widely. I've seen it as high as 60 days in some markets. I've seen it as low as 5 days in other sub markets. So, but the average for all of Snohomish County is about 25 days. Okay. The average sales price is $920,000, which is a 3% increase from the same time last year. Obviously, home affordability is a huge concern of everybody at this point. It's one of the reasons that the market has been lethargic these last few years. It's not only the average sales price, but it's also been the stubbornly high interest rates. When you put those two things together, the high interest rates, the high prices, you have an affordability crisis on your hands. It is very hard to be a first-time home buyer in this market. Are there ways to do it still? Absolutely. We help people do it every single month, like the zero down loan programs. They're awesome, but you got to be comfortable with a pretty steep monthly payment. If you own a home and you sell that home, you typically have a huge amount of equity or a nest egg that's been built there over the last 7 years as the market's gone up so far. You know, it's like doubled since like 2017. So you probably have a ton of equity and you're able to put a lot more down to get that payments to be a lot more reasonable. But if you're a first-time home buyer, you know, affordability is definitely a big challenge for you. And so we're seeing people get creative people are buying ADUs that are on properties. People are buying with family, like they're putting mom in the downstairs bedroom and they're staying upstairs. They're putting mom in the basement and they're staying upstairs. Like they're trying to find ways to make these payments more digestible. Having a $6,000 or $7,000 a month payment is pretty painful for a lot of people, and the pace at which homes have gone up in price has definitely outpaced the average income appreciation, like the income increase that we've seen in the last 7-8 years, so it's become more and more unaffordable each year. As the income has not matched the amount of appreciation and cost of owning a house. Okay. Home ownership is very, very high right now. It's at an all-time high when you look at the average home prices in our area plus the average interest rates. Interest rates are about 6.5% right now. They've come down a little bit, which is good. They were closing in on 7% for quite a while there, and they've come down about 6.5%. I personally think that the market's not going to open up and unlock until we get into the fives. Like I think it's going to take something like 5.7, 5.8% interest rates for buyers to really get off the sidelines and say, okay, this is my time. But I want to put kind of a caveat to that, because when that happens, you're going to see price appreciation go up. It's just going to result in a lot of buyer competition again, as that many buyers re-enter the market. A lot of buyers hit the pause button way back in 2022. They've been renting, and there is now what we call pent-up buyer demand. Buyers have not been buying the way they did in previous years for the last few years. And so that's resulted in a lot of buyers on the sidelines. When those buyers re-enter the market, which again, I think is going to be when rates are 5.7 to 5.8% in that range, you're going to see the inventory disappear very quickly. And you're going to see a lot of competition on home sales, and you're going to see prices ultimately get driven up at that point. So waiting for interest rates to go down to buy a house is not your best strategy, because when interest rates go down, home prices go up. It's that simple. They work in opposition of each other. And I hear a lot of people tell me all the time, Mike, I'm going to wait until rates come down to buy a house. That's the same as saying, Mike, I'm going to wait for home prices to go up to buy a house. Okay. I just want to make sure that you understand that. A better way to do things, and the way that most of our clients are buying right now, is they're buying at today's prices and they're using a 2-1 buy down. And that buy down gives them a 2% lower interest rate. So if rates are 6.5%, it's 4.5% for the first year they own the home. For the second year, instead of 6.5%, it's 5.5%. So it's 2% lower the first year, 1% lower the next year. This kind of creates a bridge to get from where we're at now to a lower interest rate environment. And you're able to not have to wait to buy until rates go down. And so when those, because of that, you're able to lock in the pricing. And so you're going to get the best price now that you're ever going to get for the house, not when the rates actually drop. I wanted to make sure you understand this, because I hear so many mistruths about interest rates and home prices. They work in opposition to each other. Just remember that. Okay. I'm going to say it again. When interest rates go down, home prices go up. It's just that simple. It's proven every single time. Percent to list price received. Okay, 99.6%. That means on average, sellers are selling for about, very close to 100% of list price. However, and I want to point this out, most sellers are giving up concessions, and that doesn't show up in this number. We have negotiated in the last month on our team $25,000 in seller concessions for our buyers, $40,000 concessions for our buyers, $20,000 concessions for our buyers, and many, many other instances where sellers are giving our buyers credits. And those don't show up in this number. So just want to make sure that you understand that there is definitely some negotiating happening right here, right now on home prices, because the market is tilting and shifting towards a more buyer-friendly environment. Okay. So if you're a buyer, have your agent go out there and fight for closing cost credits. If you can take those closing cost credits and buy that 2-1 buy down program with it, that's going to set you up for massive success on that home. It's going to save you a ton more money than getting a couple, $20,000, $30,000 off the house. I always have buyers that say, hey, I want to, ask for $20,000 off the house, which is cool. But better than that would be getting that $20,000 in a closing cost credit and then getting a 2-1 buy down with that money. It's going to make a much bigger impact on your monthly payment. Getting $10,000 off a house price doesn't actually save you that much money. It saves you like $70 a month, just to be clear. Okay. Inventory of homes for sale. This is a big one to watch. Okay. 1,620 homes. It's up almost 40% from the same time last year. So there are way more homes on the market. This is great for buyers. Buyers have options. For sellers, it means you've got a lot more competition. There's not just your house for sale in that neighborhood. Maybe there's 3 or 4 other homes as well. You need to remember as a seller that buyers shop by comparison. So you need to price your home aggressively. You need to price it to stand out amongst the competition, not just the closed sales, but what is actually active right here, right now. If you're not getting showings each week, usually that means that you've got a potential pricing problem. You should be having at least a couple of showings a week. So you want to look at price. If the marketing is there, but the showings aren't happening, something is typically going on. Okay. But on buyers, man, you got options. You got options all day, which is really refreshing. You haven't had these kind of options since 2017. There has not been this kind of inventory since 2017, which is awesome. That brings me to the last months of supply of inventory. We're at 2.5 months right now. Remember, a neutral or balanced market is generally considered 5 to 6 months of inventory, and that would be a market that's not in favor of the buyer or the seller. So we are technically in a seller's market still. However, it is shifting very, very quickly to buyers calling the shots and having the most negotiating room in a transaction. Things that we are seeing that we hadn't seen before in the last 5 years, we're seeing contingent offers come back to life. So if you're buying and selling at the same time, you could consider a strategy where you offer on a home subject to your home selling. That's called a contingent sale. There's a lot of caveats to those kind of contracts. You need to know all the details and timeline requirements to do that your agent can explain to you. That is definitely back. The contingent offers were not around in 2021, 2022. It was just too competitive. Sellers didn't have to look at those offers, but they're taking them now, and we're doing them every single month. Home inspections, totally standard again now, which is great. Most people aren't waiving their home inspection contingencies. It's just it's a more normal market to what we want to see. It's not just massively in favor of the seller. And if you think about real estate, it's designed to be a two-way negotiation. It is not designed for the seller just to beat the heck out of the buyer. And that's what it's been for so long that's what most of us think is normal. It's become our normal, and it's not really the way that real estate works. Okay. The other thing is you got a lot of people that are selling homes that just bought them 2 years ago, and they're going to lose money selling. Do not buy a house unless you're sure you're going to live in that house for at least 3 to 5 years, preferably on the 5-year side of things, because selling a home in Washington State is expensive. You pay the commissions typically, you pay the excise tax. It can cost 7 to 8% to sell a home in Washington State. It takes time to realize that level of appreciation in a home. If you go back, how much have home prices gone up? 3%. So if you sold in 2 years, you'd be going backwards, right? Homes would have gone up 6%, but it cost you 7.5% to sell. You're going to lose money. We had unrealistic expectations set during the COVID market where you could live in a home for 1 year, sell it, and make a pile of money. That is no longer the case. I want to make sure that you know that. Buying a home is a big decision. It's a decision that's designed to bring stability to your lifestyle. And it's not designed just to be able to change it right away and sell it super fast. Typically real estate has historically taken much, much longer to sell, 4 to 6 months. We're not there yet, but we're heading back that direction, it seems. So just keep that in mind. What became normal in 2021, 2022, and 2020 is not really how real estate normally works. Okay. So let's keep looking at history. If you're a buyer right now, best time to buy since 2017. Get the 2-1 buy down. Have your agent fight hard to get it paid for by the seller. If you're a seller, price your home correctly. Make sure the marketing is on point. And if you're not getting any showings, you for sure need to look at your price and have a conversation about that as well. Showings should be happening every single week. That's what I got for you right now. If you're thinking about buying or selling, definitely reach out to us. All of our contact information is down below.